And it's recording video. I should probably take off my helmet. I'm about to say something that makes me kind of nervous, by the way. So, I'm going to tell you something that's sort of maybe eventful, but not really, I don't know. I'm just saying it because I can. So, I'm totally not straight. I don't know if anybody guessed that. I don't know if it's a surprise to any one of you, but I'm totally not straight at all. So, this is sort of my coming out video type thing. I better tell you what I am, though, because the automatic assumption is that, well, if you're not straight, you're probably gay. Well, guess what? There's more than just gay and straight. I actually happen to be asexual, which basically means, well, I'm not really sexually attracted to anybody, and I haven't been my whole life, and I've gone through many a phase of, well, maybe I'm just a late bloomer, or maybe I'm just, like, repressed for whatever reason. I've gone through, like, all sorts of weird explanations to try and figure out why, and trust me, I've been asking them for 10 years now, and, you know, I can just say with confidence that the moment I stopped trying to explain why is the moment I decided to become a happy person. Remember, angsty Becky in high school? I don't like marriage, and I don't like babies, and blah, 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 blah. I was so frustrated with the fact that I was different from everybody else, but I didn't have a word to describe it, that I would assign reasons as to why, and I was just really angsty, and so when I stopped caring is when I became a much more pleasant person to be around, and whatever. The point is, me discovering the term asexuality, like, suddenly I realized that the way I felt was legitimized. I felt like I had been, like, an alien my entire life. So you may be asking yourself, well, what's the big deal about being asexual? Or is asexuality, is that even a thing? Well, let me just tell you a couple things real quick. Asexuality is an umbrella term. What it means is a really, really individual, individual interpretation, depends on the person. But for me, asexuality means all those years of people talking about, well, you're going to look at members of the opposite sex and you're going to start having feelings. Well, guess what? Those feelings never really happened. And then I started thinking, well, maybe it's the same gender. Maybe I'm like, maybe I'm homo. That didn't happen either. Honestly, I don't really give a crap about what people do in the bedroom, and if I had to make a choice between that sort of activity and mountain biking, I don't think you have to guess what I would be doing. So, it's really not that complicated, and because it's a descriptor of something that I do in my private life, it really shouldn't matter. The reason why I am doing this is because I've had to sort of gag myself on Facebook for fear of my relatives being in some form of, I don't know, shock, especially, maybe even religious shock, because there's a lot of religious baggage that comes with not being hetero, but, trust me, I know. But, yeah, so, yeah, I'm sick of gagging myself, and I just want to be more honest. This may blow your brain. I don't know. But I'm going to describe another thing about asexuality. So there's this assumption that romantic behavior and sexual behavior are somehow intertwined or the same thing. Well, many asexual people, like, they're into romance. They date. They are interested in people, just not on a sexual level, like intellectual, emotional, aesthetic. I don't know. It really depends on the person. But the point is, just because I'm asexual doesn't mean that I won't date. In fact, in my case, it means the opposite. All of these years, I felt deeply incompatible with everyone around me, and while I may have had feelings of some sort from time to time, toward this person or that person, I never acted on them because I felt like I needed to understand myself to the point where I could be honest with myself, and honest with the other person. And until I discovered the term asexual, like, I was just lost in a fog, and so I just never dated anybody. But guess what? Now that this term is insanely liberating, because I no longer have to think that I am forever alone on this planet, and potential, like, direct compatibility with other people, because 1% of the population is asexual, which is a pretty big number when you think about it. Something like 3 million people in the U.S. I don't know. I probably did my math wrong. I can't math at all. If you see me on Facebook say something about being asexy or something like that, that's probably me just saying that I'm using the word to describe my own awesomeness, and yes, my ego is big and it grows bigger by the year. It's not a good thing. If anything shocks you, just unfollow me and just don't pay attention, because the internet allows you to do that. But I'll probably start dating in the next few years when I stop being an overachieving piece of crap and working all the time. But don't be surprised if the people who I date are girls, because gender means nothing to me. I don't see why it should. Yeah. If you have any questions, I want you to ask me about them, because this is a term that exists as a descriptor of who I am. This isn't something like, asexual, I think I'm going to become that someday. No, this is a term that I never had in my life, and I felt really lost without it, and then when I found it, I'm like, this is a convenient descriptor to help describe to other people how I feel. That's all it is a tool. So if you want to know more about asexuality in general, or my own specific whateverness about it, yes, I'm totally open. So just ask questions, or whatever. So you can thumb this video up, you can show your support. I would love it if you gave any sort of feedback. I don't care. You know, I just want this to be out there. And I do want to say that the whole diagnosis thing, like, whenever I saw a common thing that people do when I introduce myself and, well, as asexual, if it ever comes up, which it rarely does, but if it ever comes up, people within the first, like, 5 minutes of hearing me talk about asexual is like, well, maybe you just haven't met the right person yet. Or, how do you know? Because you've never tried it. To which I say, well, you're straight, right? Assuming the other person's straight. Well, you're straight, right? How do you know you're not gay unless you've slept with a guy or a girl or whoever? You know, how do you know? How do you know unless you've tried it? I'm going to bounce that right back on you. And the whole, maybe you haven't met the right person yet, or maybe it's a result of this, that, or the other. You just have to understand that I've tortured myself and torn myself apart over these questions over the last 10 years, and asexuality is a really liberating term, and I don't want to be pitied. In fact, I think it should be celebrated, because I think it's freaking awesome. Because for the first time in my life, I can actually look forward and see a sort of future on a relationship basis, which I never had that before, ever. So, we've gone from 0 possibilities in the future to, maybe. It'd be cool. Yeah. Anyway, so, that's it. So, have fun, whatever.